Super Mario 3D All-Stars originally released in September of 2020, but it was only on sale from then to March 31st of 2021. That's right, this game had an infamous limited release, where Nintendo was only selling it for that specific time, and after that time ended, the game was supposedly going to be locked away, but as I'm sure you could tell from the title and thumbnail, that wasn't necessarily the case. New data has just released, and it shows some surprising things that we're going to talk about today regarding Super Mario 3D All-Stars. So Nintendo released their internal sales data, which happened to line up perfectly with the time that Super Mario 3D All-Stars was actually out, and between September and the end of March 2020 to 2021, that game sold 9,010,000 copies. An absolutely insane amount for what was essentially 3 bare-bones ports, but I mean, I love this game and I bought it, so I certainly can't complain that it sold well. I mean, I'm glad it did. However, that should be where the number stays, right? But the CESA, the Computer Entertainment Suppliers Association, which is a Japanese organization that reports sales data, said that by the end of 2021, as of December, Super Mario 3D All-Stars had sold 9,070,000 units. Obviously a 60,000 unit increase from when it was supposedly no longer being sold. Now 60,000 units might not initially sound like a lot because we are dealing with 9 million here, but 60,000 units is almost more than Astral Chain sold in the entirety of 2022. That's a relatively big first party release, or I guess technically not first party, but exclusive nonetheless, and that game only sold 70,000 units in the entirety of 2022. So 3D All-Stars almost sold more than Astral Chain within this year, specifically after it had already been taken off store shelves apparently. But that's just it. Obviously it wasn't taken off store shelves, it was taken off the eShop. You can no longer buy this game digitally, that is a fact, but physical copies are still up on Amazon, and not only that, but it's seemingly on sale at GameStop, being only $45 instead of the MSRP of $60, or at least it was at the time of recording. Obviously now that I'm editing, I can't get the screenshot because it's just no longer on sale. But also, just wanted to point out, the Amazon listing is by Nintendo. This is not a third-party reseller on Amazon, because you always got to be careful about that. This is like on Nintendo's official Amazon page. So it's clear something fishy is going on here. Why would Nintendo announce that, hey, we're taking this game down, make such a big deal out of it, get everyone all upset, and then still be selling the game? Well, there's a couple of theories and they get a bit crazier as they go on, so let's get into them right now. First off, a lot of people think, myself included, that Nintendo just wanted to artificially pump the sale. Nintendo wanted to be like, oh, you gotta get this game after March 31st, 2021, it's gone forever, which obviously caused an insane sales spike. I mean, just in the UK alone, the sales for 3D All-Stars spiked 276% in its final week. I mean, that's an insane amount of money, especially considering, obviously, we've said it before, we'll say it again, these games were pretty bare bones ports. So obviously by artificially limiting supply, you create that bandwagon fear of missing out effect. And then Nintendo gets the best of both worlds by still being able to sell the game from stores, just at an obviously way lower rate because everyone already bought it because they thought it was going to be missing. This is completely malicious, but it's not unheard of. I mean, Disney did this every single time before Disney Plus with all of their older titles. If you wanted to watch Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Cinderella, any of those classic Disney movies, you couldn't before Disney Plus because it just wasn't a feature. Like, there wasn't one place you could go to see all these movies, and if you wanted to go buy the physical copies, guess what? You couldn't. They were only released for certain runs in limited edition times, which was kind of their whole thing. They had the Disney Vault.
This is your last chance to own the adventure of Tarzan.
What?
And the honor of Mulan.
We're moving out.
Because on January 31st, these great classics on video and DVD are going back into the Disney Vault. Get them before they're gone.
That sounds familiar. Nintendo probably views Mario on the level as an IP as like Mickey Mouse or any of those Disney princesses I mentioned earlier, which, you know, as they should. He's a huge name, so maybe they took the Disney approach. Alternatively, they could have just had extra units and unloaded them to the stores, and then the stores had extra units, obviously, so they just kept selling them, and that's the data that was reported. Which kind of leads into the next theory. Do you reckon Nintendo thought this game would sell more than it did? It's hard to look at a collection of re-releases selling 9 9 million units and assume that that was disappointing, but maybe Nintendo printed even more copies of this game and they've just been slowly offloading because after they said, oh, we're not going to sell the game anymore, they looked and said, oh, we still have like 1 million physical copies of this game in our warehouse. Of course, they're not just going to let some arbitrary rule they set up prevent them from, offloading all those copies, so I guess it makes sense. Quickly before we get into the next and most crazy theory, a ton of our viewers aren't subscribed. Just check below. If you watch our videos a fair amount, then why not hit the subscribe button? It's free and you can always change your mind. All right, let's get into this crazy theory. Now, everything from this point on is completely, speculation, and not even just speculation, but more like fanboy, hoping. Like, I don't think this is what the case is, but ever since 3D All-Stars was initially announced and there were some weird omissions like the features from Super Mario 64 DS, namely Super Mario Galaxy 2 and 3D Land, which is not on the Switch in any capacity. There's always been a little bit of discussion about Super Mario 3D All-Stars 2. And now with the next 2D or 3D Mario seemingly nowhere in sight, could we be getting a new Super Mario 3D All-Stars? I know it sounds insane to say, but it would make sense as to why this game is seemingly back on store shelves. If this game were to have the same announcement and release schedule as the last one, meaning it would be announced and then released a couple weeks later, that means this game could definitely be on store shelves for the holidays, and Nintendo would not want to have something like 3D All-Stars 2 on shelves when 3D All-Stars 1 wasn't, because there's just so many parents or grandparents buying stuff for their kids who don't really understand what these games are, and they're going to see something that's like, oh, this is 3D All-Stars 2, I don't want to get this for my kid in, if they haven't played 3D All-Stars 1, the story won't make sense. Even though that obviously makes no sense, that's just the mindset of a consumer. So will this happen? I don't think so. The most likely thing I guess we could potentially get is maybe a Super Mario Galaxy 2 HD version coming out, and they want to have 3D All-Stars available because people are going to get the HD version of Galaxy 2, be like, oh wait, yeah, I forgot these games slap, and then go want to play Galaxy, find out it was only in 3D All-Stars and go pick that up. That's definitely a lot more reasonable than a full new 3D All-Stars 2. But yeah, man, this sort of thing is really interesting. It's just something I wanted to bring up because, I mean, it kind of makes sense if you kind of suspend all disbelief there for a minute. Again, let me know what you think, and with the Nintendo Direct supposedly coming up within the next couple of weeks, I mean, anything is possible. However, that's not the real reason I wanted to make this video. Mainly, this video was just for me to say, if you somehow missed out on Super Mario 3D All-Stars, maybe you got your Switch later on and you wanted to get it for like Metroid Dread or something, so you didn't even have a Switch when this game initially launched. Or you thought, oh, I don't need it, but now that FOMO, that fear of missing out, is really getting to you. Fear not, the game is not in this like limited release unbuyable state. You can still buy this game physically either online and get it shipped to your house or at certain stores. Just make sure to call ahead or just look it up and find it on GameStop.com or Amazon. It is possible, and if you do a little bit of digging, you won't even have to pay a scalper's premium or anything like that. I personally bought the game digitally, so I don't really have the need for a physical copy, but I might get one anyway just because it's a cool collector's item given that it is a limited time release. Or at least that's what we thought, because it's still available now over a year and almost a year and a half after its initial cancellation. So let me know down in the comments below, do you own this game? And if you don't, will you be getting it just because you can or not really? With that out of the way, hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. I'm Thomas from the Switch Shop signing off. Peace.